The morning air was cool, crisp with the promise of a clear autumn day in the heart of the city. My breath plumed in front of me, a fleeting ghost in the dawn light, as I pushed through the last mile of my run. The rhythm of my own breath, the steady beat of my steps on the paved path was a familiar, comforting mantra. This was my sanctuary, my ritual, the sprawling urban park, a green lung in the concrete jungle, where I could outrun the anxieties of the week and find a semblance of control. My world, by design, was one of order, meticulously planned projects, a disciplined routine, emotions kept firmly in check. Then it hit me. Not a sound, not a sight, but a scent. Soft, elusive, yet undeniably potent. A dangerous whisper of jasmine and something else, something uniquely hers, that I'd spent years trying to forget. My stride faltered, my heart skipped a beat, a cold dread mixing with a strange, undeniable pull. I looked up, my gaze sweeping across the scattering of early risers, and there she was. Standing by the fountain, silhouetted against the rising sun, a figure both familiar and utterly alien. Isabel, my ex, my weakness, my kryptonite. Time had passed. Years had carved new lines on our faces, but the pull was the same, that quiet burn between us, that look that said we both remembered exactly how it felt to fall. And in that single suspended moment, the carefully constructed walls of my ordered life began to crack. If you've ever felt the earth shift beneath your feet at the sight of someone you thought you'd moved on from, then you know this feeling. Hit that subscribe button right now and join me as we unravel the tangled threads of a past that refuses to stay buried. You won't want to miss a single chapter of this story. My name is Noah and I'm 34 years old. I'm an architect, specializing in sustainable urban design, a field that demands precision, foresight, and an unwavering commitment to structure. My apartment in downtown Chicago, with its minimalist aesthetic and panoramic city views, was a reflection of my life. Clean lines, functional spaces, everything in its place. I thrived on routine, on the predictable ebb and flow of my days. It wasn't a boring life, not by any stretch. I had a demanding career, a close-knit group of friends, and a sister, Harper, who kept me grounded and occasionally reminded me to loosen up. But it was a life I had carefully curated, a fortress built against the kind of emotional chaos that had once threatened to consume me. That chaos had a name, Isabel. We met in college, a whirlwind of passion and opposing forces. I was the serious, studious one, already sketching blueprints for my future. She was a free spirit, an artist with a laugh that could light up a room and eyes that held the entire universe. She saw the world in vibrant colors, while I saw it in precise angles. We were an unlikely pair, a collision of order and beautiful anarchy. And for 3 tumultuous years we burned. Our relationship was a supernova, brilliant, intense, and ultimately unsustainable. We fought with the same passion with which we loved, our differences clashing until the inevitable explosion. The breakup 7 years ago had been brutal, leaving scars that faded, but never truly disappeared. I had rebuilt my life, brick by painful brick, ensuring that no one, especially not Isabel, could ever again wield such power over me. She was my kryptonite, the one person who could effortlessly dismantle my carefully constructed composure, leaving me vulnerable and exposed. My morning run was usually a sanctuary, a meditative escape. The air was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant coffee. I was halfway through my usual 5-mile loop, my playlist a steady rhythm in my ears, when it happened. A subtle shift in the air, a fleeting fragrance that cut through the crisp morning like a knife, jasmine, and something else, something warm and spicy, a signature blend that was uniquely hers. My breath hitched. My muscles, accustomed to the steady cadence, faltered. It was impossible. I hadn't smelled that scent in years. I had actively avoided places she might frequent, mutual friends who might mention her name. I had meticulously erased her from my immediate orbit, but the scent was undeniable. It was a ghost, a memory made tangible, and it sent a jolt of primal recognition through me. My head snapped up, my eyes scanning the path ahead, then the grassy expanse of the park, and there she was. Standing by the grand fountain, where the water danced and sparkled in the nascent sunlight, was Isabel. She was wearing dark running leggings and a fitted long-sleeved top, her dark, wavy hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, a few strands escaping to frame her face. Even in workout gear, She possessed an effortless grace, a natural elegance that always drew the eye. She was laughing, her head thrown back, talking to a man I didn't recognize, tall, athletic, with an arm casually draped around her waist. My world tilted. The familiar sounds of the park, the distant chatter of other runners, the chirping of birds, the gentle splash of the fountain faded into a dull roar. All I could see was her. All I could feel was the sudden, overwhelming rush of memories, a torrent of emotions I had painstakingly buried. The way her eyes crinkled when she laughed, the subtle curve of her neck, the familiar tilt of her head. It was all there, vivid and immediate, as if no time had passed at all. Our eyes met. Her laughter died. Her head snapped forward, her smile dissolving into an expression of pure, unadulterated shock. Her dark eyes, those deep, expressive pools that had once held my entire world, widened, fixed on me with an intensity that made my breath catch in my throat. The man beside her, oblivious, continued to speak, but she was no longer listening. She was looking at me. And in that look I saw it, the same flicker of recognition, the same undeniable pull, the same quiet burn that said we both remembered exactly how it felt to fall. My feet, which had been moving on autopilot, finally stopped. I stood there rooted to the spot, a statue in the middle of a bustling park, my chest heaving, not from the exertion of the run, but from the sudden, violent resurgence of a past I thought I had conquered. If you're feeling the electric shock of this unexpected reunion, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us tell these complex human stories. The moment stretched, suspended in time, an eternity measured in heartbeats. The world around us seemed to fade, leaving only the two of us, separated by 100 yards and 7 years of carefully constructed distance. The man beside her, sensing her sudden stillness, turned to follow her gaze. His eyes, curious at first, narrowed slightly as he saw me. Isabel, as if jolted back to reality, quickly averted her gaze, a faint blush rising on her cheeks. She mumbled something to the man, a quick, almost imperceptible shake of her head, and then, with a forced smile, she turned away, pulling him gently in the opposite direction, away from me, away from the fountain, away from the ghost of our past. I watched her go, a knot tightening in my stomach. The man, her new partner, I presumed, glanced back at me once, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes, before disappearing with her behind a cluster of trees. And then, just like that, she was gone. The scent, too, dissipated, carried away by the morning breeze, leaving only the lingering phantom of its presence. I stood there for a long moment, the cool air suddenly feeling frigid against my skin, my heart still hammering against my ribs. The rhythmic thud of my running shoes, which had been my anchor, was now a distant memory. My carefully curated morning routine, my sanctuary, had been utterly shattered. I forced myself to start moving again, a slow, deliberate walk, my legs feeling heavy, disconnected. My mind, usually so clear and focused, was a chaotic storm of images and emotions. Isabel, here, in my park, with another man. The sheer audacity of it, the cruel twist of fate, felt like a cosmic joke. I finished my run on autopilot, the remaining miles a blur. Back in my apartment, the minimalist perfection of my living space felt suffocating. I went through the motions of showering, making coffee, but my thoughts were consumed by her. Isabel, my kryptonite. Why now? Why here? After all these years, after all the effort I had put into moving on, into building a stable, predictable life, she reappeared, effortlessly dismantling my defenses with a single glance. I thought back to our relationship, the intoxicating highs and the devastating lows. She was a whirlwind, a force of nature that swept me off my feet and then left me reeling. I loved her fiercely, with a desperate intensity that scared me, but I also resented her ability to disrupt my world, to challenge my need for control. We were too different, everyone said, oil and water, fire and ice, and in the end, they were right. The passion eventually consumed us, leaving behind only ashes and the bitter taste of what-ifs. I had learned to live without her, to thrive without her. I had found a quiet contentment, a sense of peace that had been absent during our tumultuous years together. I had even started dating again, cautiously, tentatively. There was Genevieve, a colleague from work, intelligent and kind, who showed a genuine interest in me. She was everything Isabel wasn't: calm, predictable, stable. And yet, after seeing Isabel, the thought of Genevieve felt flat, unfair. My phone buzzed. It was Samson, my best friend, calling to confirm our weekly lunch. Samson had been my rock through the Isabel breakup, patiently listening to my endless laments, offering unwavering support. He knew the depth of my feelings for her, the scars she had left. "Hey man," Samson's cheerful voice came through the phone. "Lunch at noon? I'm craving that new Thai place." "Yeah, sure, Sam," I mumbled, my voice sounding distant even to my own ears. "Everything okay, Noah? You sound a little off." I hesitated. How do you tell your best friend that the ghost of your past, the woman who once broke you, just reappeared in your morning run, effortlessly shattering your carefully constructed peace? "Just a long run," I lied, the words feeling hollow. "Didn't get enough sleep." "All right, well, I'll see you at noon, don't be late." I hung up, the phone feeling heavy in my hand. The lie felt like a betrayal, not just to Samson, but to myself. I had always prided myself on my honesty, my straightforwardness, but this was different. This was Isabel, and Isabel brought with her a level of complexity, a depth of emotion that I was not prepared to face, let alone articulate. My sister Harper would have seen right through me. She had always been perceptive, able to read my unspoken thoughts. She had loved Isabel in her own way, but had also seen the destructive patterns in our relationship. I knew she would tell me to be careful, to protect myself. But the truth was, after that fleeting glimpse, I felt anything but careful. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and terrifyingly alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. The city outside my window, usually a source of calm inspiration, now seemed to pulse with a restless energy, mirroring the turmoil within me. The sun, now fully risen, cast long shadows across the buildings, painting the urban landscape in stark contrasts. It was a beautiful day, a day that should have been filled with the quiet satisfaction of a successful run and the anticipation of a productive workday. Instead, it was tainted by the ghost of a past love, a lingering scent, and a pair of dark, expressive eyes that had once held my entire world. I walked over to my large window, looking out at the sprawling city, at the distant green expanse of the park. She was out there somewhere, living her life, a life that no longer included me. But her presence, even a fleeting one, had ripped open old wounds, awakened dormant feelings, and shattered the carefully constructed peace of my existence. The quiet burn between us, that look that said we both remembered exactly how it felt to fall, was now a raging inferno in my soul, and I knew with a chilling certainty that my life and the carefully ordered world I had built were about to be irrevocably altered. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with emotional landmines, and I knew with a terrifying clarity that the morning air, once my sanctuary, had indeed changed everything, forever. I walked over to my large window, looking out at the sprawling city, at the distant green expanse of the park. She was out there somewhere, living her life, a life that no longer included me. But her presence, even a fleeting one, had ripped open old wounds, awakened dormant feelings, and shattered the carefully constructed peace of my existence. The quiet burn between us, that look that said we both remembered exactly how it felt to fall, was now a raging inferno in my soul. And I knew with a chilling certainty that my life and the carefully ordered world I had built were about to be irrevocably altered. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with emotional landmines, and I knew with a terrifying clarity that the morning air, once my sanctuary, had indeed changed everything, forever. The rest of the morning passed in a haze. I tried to focus on work, on the intricate blueprints spread across my desk, but my mind kept drifting back to the park, to Isabel's startled eyes, to the casual arm of the man beside her. Every line, every angle on my designs seemed to blur, replaced by the vivid image of her. My usual precision was gone, replaced by a restless energy that made it impossible to concentrate. At noon, I met Samson at the new Thai place. He was already there, a wide grin on his face, scrolling through his phone. Samson, with his easygoing nature and infectious laugh, was the antithesis of my structured self, and exactly what I needed, or so I thought. "Hey man, you made it," he said, looking up. "What's with the face? You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a smile, trying to appear nonchalant. "Just a rough morning. Client meeting went sideways." The lie felt heavy on my tongue, a stark contrast to the truth burning beneath the surface. We ordered our food, and Samson launched into a story about his latest dating misadventure. I listened, nodding in the right places, but my mind was miles away, replaying the encounter in the park. The jasmine scent, the shock in her eyes, the man. Who was he? Her boyfriend? Her husband? The thought sent a cold shiver down my spine. Noah? Earth to Noah? Samson waved a hand in front of my face. You're completely zoned out. Seriously. What's up? I sighed, running a hand through my hair. Samson knew me too well. There was no point in trying to hide it from him. He had been there through the entire Isabel saga, the one constant in the emotional wreckage. I saw her, Sam, I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. This morning, in the park. Samson's cheerful demeanor instantly vanished. His eyes, usually full of mirth, narrowed in concern. Isabel? No way, after all these years? I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and dread at finally speaking the words aloud. Yeah, her. She was with someone. Samson leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful frown on his face. With someone, huh? Well, it's been 7 years, Noah. You both moved on. I know, I said, the words sounding hollow even to me. I have moved on. I built a whole new life. But seeing her, it was like a punch to the gut, like no time had passed at all. That's just the shock, man, Samson reassured me, though his tone held a hint of uncertainty. She was your first big love, your kryptonite, as you always called her. It's natural to feel something. Something? I scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. It felt like my entire carefully constructed world just imploded. That scent, Sam, it was exactly the same. And her eyes, she looked at me like she remembered everything too. Samson was quiet for a moment, picking at his food. Look, Noah, I get it. She was a big part of your life, but you're not that guy anymore. You're stable, successful, you've got your shit together. She was chaos, remember? Beautiful, intoxicating chaos, but chaos nonetheless. His words were meant to be comforting, a reminder of the reasons we broke up, the pain she had caused. And logically, I knew he was right. Isabel was a whirlwind, a force that both exhilarated and exhausted me, but the heart, I was discovering, didn't always listen to logic. I know, I repeated, feeling a profound weariness. I wasn't prepared. I thought I was over it, over her. Maybe you are, Samson said, meeting my gaze. But seeing an ex, especially that ex, can stir things up. It doesn't mean you want to go back there. It just means you're human. We talked for a while longer, Samson offering practical advice and a much-needed dose of reality. He reminded me of the arguments, the emotional roller coasters, the fundamental differences that had ultimately torn us apart. By the time we left the restaurant, I felt a little more grounded, the initial shock beginning to recede, replaced by a dull ache of nostalgia and a renewed determination to maintain the peace I had worked so hard to build. If you're finding yourself caught in Noah's emotional turmoil, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more compelling stories. The next few days were a test of my resolve. I threw myself into work, burying myself in projects, staying late at the office. I avoided the park, opting for indoor workouts at the gym. I even made an effort to spend more time with Genevieve, my colleague. Genevieve was everything Isabel wasn't. She was calm, intelligent, and incredibly kind. We had a comfortable rapport, sharing a love for architecture and a dry sense of humor. She was interested in my work, in my life, and her presence was a soothing balm to my agitated mind. We went out for dinner, saw a movie, and for a few hours I almost forgot about the unsettling encounter in the park. Almost. But even as I laughed with Genevieve, a part of me felt a strange detachment. It wasn't fair to her, I knew, to be a placeholder for a ghost. Her stability, which I once craved, now felt almost too easy, too safe. It lacked the spark, the dangerous edge that Isabel had always brought into my life. The thought made me feel guilty and confused. One evening, my sister Harper called. Harper, 2 years younger than me, was a freelance photographer with an artistic eye and an uncanny ability to see straight through my carefully constructed facades. "Hey, big brother," she chirped. "How's life in the concrete jungle? Still running from your feelings?" I chuckled, a genuine laugh this time. "Always subtle, Harper. What's up?" "Just checking in. Mom said you sounded a little stressed last time she talked to you. Everything okay?" "Yeah, everything's fine," I said, trying to sound convincing. "Just busy with a big project." "Uh-huh," she drawled, a knowing tone in her voice. "Busy or avoiding something?" I sighed. There was no fooling Harper. "Okay, fine. I saw Isabel." A beat of silence on the other end. Then, "Oh, Noah. Where? How?" Her voice was softer now, laced with concern. I recounted the story of the park, the scent, the unexpected encounter. Harper listened patiently, interjecting with occasional wows and, "I knew it's." "And she was with someone?" Harper asked, her voice thoughtful. "Yeah, some tall, athletic guy. Looked pretty cozy." "Well, it's been 7 years, Noah," Harper said, echoing Samson's earlier sentiment. "You both have lives now. You have Genevieve, right?" "Yeah," I admitted. "I have Genevieve. She's great, Harper, really great, but she's not Isabel," Harper finished for me, her voice gentle. "I get it, Noah. Isabel was a force. She was your first big love, and she left a mark. It's okay to feel something when you see her. It doesn't mean you're not over her necessarily. It just means that chapter of your life was incredibly intense." "It felt like more than just intense, Harper," I confessed, my voice raw. "It felt like a part of me I thought was dead just woke up, and it's terrifying." "I know it is," she said, her voice full of empathy. "But you're stronger now, Noah. You've learned. You've grown. You're not the same guy who let her walk all over him, who let her dictate his emotional state." Her words were a much-needed reminder. I had grown. I was stronger. I had built a life that was stable and fulfilling. I couldn't let one chance encounter derail all of that. "Thanks, Harper," I said, feeling a little lighter. "I needed that. Any time, big brother. Just be careful, okay? Don't go chasing ghosts." Her advice resonated. Don't chase ghosts. It was a good mantra. I had to focus on the present, on the life I had built, on the people who were actually in it. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. A few days later, I was at a networking event for architects, a swanky downtown gallery opening showcasing innovative urban designs. I was chatting with a potential client, explaining the intricacies of a new green infrastructure project, when I felt that familiar shift in the air again, that subtle, dangerous scent. My heart gave a familiar lurch. I turned slowly, almost reluctantly, my gaze sweeping across the crowded room, and there she was, Isabel. She was standing by a large abstract sculpture, talking animatedly to a group of people. She looked stunning. Her dark hair was styled in soft waves, falling elegantly around her shoulders. She was wearing a sleek, dark dress that accentuated her figure, and her eyes sparkled with that familiar, captivating energy. She was in her element, radiating confidence and charm. And then I saw him, the man from the park. He was beside her, his hand resting casually on the small of her back, a possessive gesture that sent a jolt of something akin to jealousy through me. He was well-dressed, handsome, and clearly devoted to her. His name, I overheard someone say, was Victor. My conversation with the client faltered. My carefully constructed composure, which I had worked so hard to maintain, began to crack. This wasn't a chance encounter in a park. This was a public event, a professional setting, and she was here, with him. Our eyes met again. This time, there was no initial shock, no dawning realization, only a quiet, knowing recognition, a flicker of something unreadable in her dark eyes, a subtle tightening around her mouth. She offered a small, almost imperceptible nod, a polite acknowledgement, before turning back to her conversation, her smile returning, a little too bright, a little too forced. I felt a strange mix of emotions, a renewed sense of the old pull, a pang of jealousy, and a frustrating awareness of the distance between us. She was a part of my past, a closed chapter, and yet, here she was, effortlessly walking back into my present, disrupting my carefully ordered world with her mere presence. If you're wondering how Noah will navigate this unexpected encounter, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more compelling stories. I tried to regain my composure, to focus on the client, but my attention kept drifting back to Isabel. I watched her from across the room, observing her interactions, her easy laughter, the way she commanded attention. She was still the same captivating force, the same kryptonite that could unravel me with a single glance. The event felt endless. I made my excuses to the client, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. I needed to get out of there, to escape the suffocating presence of my past. As I made my way towards the exit, I felt a hand on my arm. "Noah?" I turned. It was Genevieve. She was standing there, a warm smile on her face, her eyes filled with genuine interest. "I saw you across the room. You looked a little lost in thought. Everything okay?" I forced a smile, trying to mask the turmoil raging within me. Hey Jen, yeah, just a lot on my mind, big project. She nodded, her smile unwavering. I get it. You're always so focused, but you should try to relax a little. This is a great event. She glanced around the room, her gaze briefly landing on Isabel, who was still talking to Victor. Oh, is that Isabel? I think I've seen her work online. She's a fantastic artist. My heart clenched. Genevieve unknowingly had just touched on the very source of my distress. Yeah, I mumbled. That's her. You know her? Genevieve asked, a hint of surprise in her voice. We used to date, I admitted, the words feeling like a confession. Genevieve's smile faltered slightly, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. Oh, I see. She paused, then added, her voice gentle. Well, she's certainly striking. Her understanding, her quiet grace, made me feel even more guilty. She deserved someone who was fully present, fully committed, not someone whose mind was still wrestling with the ghosts of the past. Jen, I started unsure of what to say, how to explain the sudden, overwhelming confusion that had taken root in my heart. But before I could finish, Isabel, as if sensing our conversation, looked up. Her eyes met mine across the crowded room, a silent, electric current passing between us. And in that look I saw it again. The quiet burn, the undeniable pull, the unspoken question that hung in the air, challenging the carefully constructed walls of my ordered life. The past, it seemed, was not content to remain a ghost. It was here, in the present, demanding to be acknowledged, threatening to consume me once more. And I knew with a chilling certainty that the path ahead was no longer just uncertain, but fraught with a dangerous, intoxicating possibility. As I made my way towards the exit, I felt a hand on my arm. Noah? I turned. It was Genevieve. She was standing there, a warm smile on her face, her eyes filled with genuine interest. I saw you across the room. You looked a little lost in thought. Everything okay? I forced a smile, trying to mask the turmoil raging within me. Hey Jen, yeah, just a lot on my mind. Big project. She nodded, her smile unwavering. I get it. You're always so focused. But you should try to relax a little. This is a great event. She glanced around the room, her gaze briefly landing on Isabel, who was still talking to Victor. Oh, is that Isabel? I think I've seen her work online. She's a fantastic artist. My heart clenched. Genevieve, unknowingly, had just touched on the very source of my distress. Yeah, I mumbled. That's her. You know her? Genevieve asked, a hint of surprise in her voice. We used to date, I admitted, the words feeling like a confession. Genevieve's smile faltered slightly, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. Oh, I see. She paused, then added, her voice gentle. Well, she's certainly striking. Her understanding, her quiet grace, made me feel even more guilty. She deserved someone who was fully present, fully committed, not someone whose mind was still wrestling with the ghosts of the past. Jen, I started, unsure of what to say, how to explain the sudden, overwhelming confusion that had taken root in my heart. But before I could finish, Isabel, as if sensing our conversation, looked up. Her eyes met mine across the crowded room, a silent electric current passing between us. And in that look, I saw it again. The quiet burn, the undeniable pull, the unspoken question that hung in the air, challenging the carefully constructed walls of my ordered life. The past, it seemed, was not content to remain a ghost. It was here, in the present, demanding to be acknowledged, threatening to consume me once more. And I knew with a chilling certainty that the path ahead was no longer just uncertain, but fraught with a dangerous, intoxicating possibility. The air between Genevieve and me thickened with unspoken words. Her gaze, usually so open, now held a hint of guarded curiosity, a subtle shift that spoke volumes. She was perceptive, and my awkward confession, coupled with my obvious distraction, had not gone unnoticed. I felt a pang of guilt, a sharp awareness of the unfairness of the situation. Genevieve deserved better than a man whose mind was still tethered to a past love, a man whose carefully constructed composure had been so easily shattered. Noah, she began, her voice soft. Are you okay? You seem distant. I forced a smile, trying to project an air of normalcy. Just a long day, Jen. This event is draining. It was a weak excuse, and I knew it. She nodded slowly, her eyes still searching mine. Right. Well, I should probably mingle a bit more. It was good seeing you. Her tone was polite, but the warmth that usually characterized our interactions had cooled. She gave me a small hesitant smile, then turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I watched her go, a knot tightening in my stomach. The distance between us, once comfortable, now felt like a chasm. I lingered for a few more minutes, my gaze involuntarily drawn back to Isabel. She was still with Victor, their heads close, sharing a private joke. He leaned in, whispering something in her ear, and she laughed, a bright melodic sound that resonated through the room, a sound I remembered all too well. A bitter taste filled my mouth. The sight of them together, so at ease, so intimately connected, was a stark reminder of what I had lost, and what I was now missing. I finally made my escape. The cool night air of Chicago a welcome relief against my flushed face. The city lights, usually a source of comfort, now seemed to mock my internal turmoil, their dazzling brilliance highlighting the darkness within me. I walked home, the familiar streets a blur, my mind a chaotic storm of memories and conflicting emotions. The next few days were a torment. Isabel's image, her scent, her laughter, haunted my thoughts. Every project at work felt mundane, every conversation with colleagues superficial. I found myself checking social media, a habit I had long abandoned, searching for any trace of her, any clue about her life, about Victor. I found her professional art page filled with vibrant, expressive pieces that were unmistakably hers. And there, in a few candid photos from gallery openings, was Victor, always by her side, always looking at her with an undeniable adoration. He was a successful art dealer, I learned, a prominent figure in the Chicago art scene. He seemed perfect for her, charming, sophisticated, and clearly devoted. The realization only deepened the ache in my chest. I tried to talk to Samson, to articulate the depth of my confusion, the unsettling resurgence of feelings I thought were long dead. He listened patiently, but his advice remained consistent. Noah, you're romanticizing the past. You remember the good, but you're forgetting the bad. Isabel was never easy. She was a hurricane. You built a stable life for a reason. But what if stability isn't enough, Sam? I countered, my voice raw. What if I missed the hurricane? Samson sighed. Then you're asking for trouble, man. You know how that story ends. My sister, Harper, offered a different perspective. It's okay to feel nostalgic, Noah. It's okay to acknowledge that she was a huge part of your life, but don't confuse nostalgia with a desire to go back. People change, and sometimes the best thing you can do is appreciate the past for what it was, and then keep moving forward. Their words, though well-intentioned, felt like a cold shower on a burning flame. They were logical, rational, everything I usually prided myself on being, but my heart, it seemed, was operating on a different frequency. If you're feeling Noah's struggle between logic and emotion, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us tell these complex human stories. A week later, another unexpected encounter. I was at my favorite coffee shop, a small independent place near my office, nursing a latte and trying to focus on a new design brief. The bell above the door chimed and I looked up, my heart sinking. Isabel. She was alone this time, dressed casually in jeans and a soft sweater, her hair falling loosely around her shoulders. She ordered at the counter, her back to me, and then turned, her eyes sweeping the room for a table. Our gazes locked. This time there was no crowd to hide behind, no professional pretense. Just the two of us, in a quiet coffee shop, the air suddenly thick with unspoken history. Her eyes, those deep, dark pools, held a complex mixture of surprise, a hint of sadness, and that undeniable, familiar spark. She hesitated for a moment. Then, with a small, almost imperceptible sigh, she walked towards my table. "Noah," she said, her voice soft, a little breathless. "Fancy seeing you here." "Isabel," I replied, my voice a little rougher than I intended. "Small world." She offered a small, tentative smile. "It is, isn't it?" She gestured to the empty chair opposite me. "Mind if I join you? Everywhere else is full." My mind screamed no, but my lips, betraying my carefully constructed defenses, said, "Please, have a seat." She sat down, placing her coffee cup on the table. The scent of jasmine, soft and dangerous, filled the space between us. It was intoxicating, disorienting. "How have you been, Noah?" she asked, her gaze steady, searching. "Good," I lied, the word feeling hollow. "Busy, work's good. You?" "Good too," she replied, a faint blush rising on her cheeks. "My art career is really taking off. I have a solo show coming up next month." "That's great, Isabel," I said genuinely. "I always knew you'd make it big." A comfortable silence settled between us, filled with the unspoken weight of our shared past. It wasn't awkward, not exactly. It was heavy, charged with a current of unresolved emotions. "I saw you at the gallery opening," she finally said, her voice softer. "And in the park the other day." "Yeah," I admitted. "Small world indeed." "You look good, Noah," she said, her eyes tracing the lines of my face. "You've changed. You seem calmer." "I've tried to be," I confessed, a wry smile touching my lips. "Chaos isn't really my thing anymore." She chuckled, a soft, melodic sound that sent a shiver down my spine. "No, I suppose not. You always preferred order." Her gaze dropped to my hands, then back to my eyes. "I saw you with Genevieve at the gallery. She seems lovely." The mention of Genevieve brought a fresh wave of guilt. "She is," I said, my voice flat. "Are you together?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper, her eyes searching mine. The question hung in the air, loaded with unspoken meaning. This was my chance to set boundaries, to reaffirm my commitment to the stable, predictable life I had built, to protect myself. But then I looked into her eyes, those deep, dark pools that had once held my entire world, and I saw a flicker of something there, a vulnerability, a hint of regret, a ghost of the passion we once shared. And the words, the logical, rational words, caught in my throat. We're seeing each other," I finally managed, the answer feeling inadequate, a betrayal of Genevieve, and a lie to myself. Isabel nodded slowly, a faint shadow crossing her face. "I see." She took a sip of her coffee, her gaze drifting to the window, then back to me. "Victor and I are getting serious. He's a wonderful man." "I'm happy for you, Isabel," I said, the words feeling like ash in my mouth. Another silence, this one more strained. The comfortable veneer of our conversation was cracking, revealing the raw, unresolved emotions beneath. "Noah," she began, her voice barely audible, I've thought about you a lot over the years. About us." My heart hammered against my ribs. This was dangerous territory. This was the kryptonite working its insidious magic. "Me too, Isabel," I admitted, the truth escaping before I could filter it. "A lot." Her eyes met mine, and in that moment, the years melted away. We were back in college, two young, passionate souls, caught in the intoxicating whirlwind of our love. The world outside the coffee shop, the bustling city, the responsibilities of my adult life, it all faded into insignificance. There was only her and me, and the undeniable electric current that still pulsed between us. "I miss you, Noah," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Sometimes I really miss you." The words hit me with the force of a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. My carefully constructed walls, the fortress I had built brick by painful brick, crumbled in an instant. The quiet burn between us, that look that said we both remembered exactly how it felt to fall, was now a raging inferno, consuming every last vestige of my resolve. If you're as shocked by Isabel's confession as Noah, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more compelling stories. I stared at her, my mind reeling. Miss me? After all this time? After all the pain, the rebuilding, the moving on? And with Victor, her wonderful man, waiting in the wings? "Isabel," I managed, my voice hoarse, "what are you saying?" She looked away, her gaze fixed on her coffee cup, then back to me, her eyes filled with a desperate vulnerability. "I don't know, Noah. I saw you, and it all came rushing back. The way we were, the way I felt. And I can't pretend it didn't happen. I can't pretend it doesn't still affect me." Her honesty, raw and unexpected, disarmed me completely. It was the Isabel I remembered, impulsive, emotionally transparent, dangerously captivating. "What about Victor?" I asked, my voice tight, a hint of bitterness creeping in. She flinched. He's good. He's stable. He's everything I thought I wanted." She paused, her gaze meeting mine, a profound sadness in her eyes. "But he's not you, Noah. He's not the fire." The words hung in the air, a dangerous invitation, a challenge to everything I had built. The fire. That was us. That was our destructive, intoxicating love. And she was offering it to me again, a forbidden fruit, tempting me to abandon the safety of my ordered world for the exhilarating, terrifying chaos of her presence. My heart pounded, a frantic drumbeat in my chest. My mind raced, grappling with the implications of her confession, the profound emotional weight of her words. I looked at her, at the woman who was still, after all these years, my kryptonite, the one person who could effortlessly dismantle my carefully constructed composure. And in that moment, I knew with a chilling certainty that the path ahead was no longer just uncertain, but fraught with a dangerous, intoxicating possibility. The quiet burn between us was now a raging inferno, threatening to consume me entirely, to pull me back into the beautiful, destructive chaos I had sworn to leave behind. The city outside, once a symbol of my controlled life, now seemed to pulse with the same wild, unpredictable energy that Isabel embodied. And I, Noah, was standing at a precipice, on the verge of making a choice that would irrevocably alter the landscape of my life forever. "What about Victor?" I asked, my voice tight, a hint of bitterness creeping in. She flinched. He's good. He's stable. He's everything I thought I wanted." She paused, her gaze meeting mine, a profound sadness in her eyes. "But he's not you, Noah. He's not the fire." The words hung in the air, a dangerous invitation, a challenge to everything I had built. The fire, that was us, that was our destructive, intoxicating love. And she was offering it to me again, a forbidden fruit, tempting me to abandon the safety of my ordered world for the exhilarating, terrifying chaos of her presence. My heart pounded, a frantic drumbeat in my chest. My mind raced, grappling with the implications of her confession, the profound emotional weight of her words. I looked at her, at the woman who was still, after all these years, my kryptonite, the one person who could effortlessly dismantle my carefully constructed composure. And in that moment, I knew, with a chilling certainty, that the path ahead was no longer just uncertain, but fraught with a dangerous, intoxicating possibility. The quiet burn between us was now a raging inferno, threatening to consume me entirely, to pull me back into the beautiful, destructive chaos I had sworn to leave behind. The city outside, once a symbol of my controlled life, now seemed to pulse with the same wild, unpredictable energy that Isabel embodied. And I, Noah, was standing at a precipice, on the verge of making a choice that would irrevocably alter the landscape of my life, forever. The silence in the coffee shop stretched, heavy with the weight of Isabel's confession. Her eyes, dark and luminous, held a desperate plea, a raw vulnerability that mirrored the turmoil in my own soul. "He's not the fire." Her words echoed in my mind, a siren song pulling me back to a past I had painstakingly tried to bury. The logical part of my brain screamed warnings. Remember the pain. Remember the chaos. Remember why you left. But the other part, the part that had been dormant for so long, was stirring, awakened by her presence, by the intoxicating scent of jasmine, by the undeniable pull that still existed between us. "Isabel," I finally managed, my voice hoarse. I don't know what to say." She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine, a fleeting electric touch that sent shivers down my arm. "You don't have to say anything, Noah, just acknowledge it. Acknowledge what we had, what we still have." Her touch, her words, were a dangerous cocktail, intoxicating and disorienting. My carefully constructed walls, the fortress of order and control, were crumbling around me. I looked into her eyes, and in that moment, I saw not just the chaos, but the passion, the intensity, the profound connection that had once defined my world. "I can't just ignore it," I admitted, the truth escaping before I could filter it. "I can't ignore you." A small, sad smile touched her lips. "Then don't." We sat there for what felt like an eternity, the world outside the coffee shop fading into insignificance. We talked, not about the past, not about the pain, but about the present, her art, my architecture, the paths our lives had taken. It was a delicate dance, skirting around the edges of the unspoken, yet every glance, every shared smile, every lingering touch of our hands across the table spoke volumes. When we finally parted ways, the sun was setting, casting long golden shadows across the city streets. I walked home in a daze, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The encounter had left me exhilarated, terrified and utterly confused. The stability I had built, the quiet contentment I had found with Genevieve, now felt fragile, almost insignificant, in the face of the raging inferno Isabel had rekindled within me. The first person I called was Samson. He listened patiently as I recounted the coffee shop encounter, his silence growing heavier with each detail. "Noah," he finally said, his voice laced with disappointment, "you're playing with fire. You know this, right? You know how this ends. I don't know anything, Sam, I retorted, my voice sharp with frustration. All I know is that I saw her, and everything I thought I felt, everything I thought I had moved on from just came rushing back. It's not that simple. It is that simple, Noah, he insisted. You either choose the chaos or you choose the peace. You can't have both, and you're leading Genevieve on, man. That's not fair to her. His words hit home. He was right. Genevieve. My stomach clenched with guilt. I couldn't continue to string her along, not when my heart was so clearly elsewhere, so clearly pulled back into Isabel's orbit. The next day, I met Genevieve for coffee. The conversation was difficult, painful. I tried to be honest, to explain the sudden resurgence of feelings for someone from my past, without explicitly naming Isabel. Her face, usually so open and kind, hardened with a quiet hurt. I understand, Noah, she said, her voice calm, but with an underlying tremor. I always sensed there was something you weren't fully present for. I hoped it wasn't this. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a profound sadness. I deserve someone who's all in, Noah, and you're clearly not. You do, Jen, I agreed, my voice heavy with regret. And I'm so sorry. You're a wonderful woman and you deserve all the happiness in the world. She nodded, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. I wish you luck, Noah. I really do. But I hope you know what you're doing. Her words, a mix of grace and quiet warning, resonated deeply. I had hurt her, and the guilt was a bitter pill to swallow. I had chosen the chaos, or at least the possibility of it, and the first casualty was the stable, kind relationship I had with Genevieve. If you're feeling the weight of Noah's difficult choices, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us tell these complex human stories. My sister, Harper, was equally direct. When I told her about breaking up with Genevieve and the renewed connection with Isabel, she listened with a mixture of concern and resignation. Noah, she said, her voice gentle but firm, I love you, and I want you to be happy, but you know, Isabel, you know how intense things get. Just please be careful. Don't lose yourself in the fire again. Her words were a stark reminder of the past, of the times I had indeed lost myself in the tumultuous whirlwind of Isabel's presence. But this time, I told myself, it would be different. I was older, wiser, more grounded. I could navigate the fire without getting burned, or so I hoped. Isabel and I began to see each other, cautiously at first, then with a growing intensity that mirrored our past. We met for coffee, for walks in the park, a place that now held a new, potent significance, for dinners in quiet restaurants. We talked for hours, revisiting old memories, laughing at shared jokes, exploring the new people we had become. The chemistry was undeniable, the pull as strong as ever. It was exhilarating, terrifying, and utterly addictive. She eventually told Victor about us. The conversation, she recounted, was difficult, filled with tears and accusations. Victor, heartbroken and bewildered, couldn't understand why she would throw away their stable, loving relationship for a ghost from her past. He accused her of being impulsive, of chasing a fantasy, and in a way he was right. But the heart, as I was learning, rarely listened to reason. Isabel and Victor broke up. The news, though expected, still sent a pang of unease through me. I was now directly responsible for the pain of another person, for the shattering of a relationship that had once seemed so secure. The fire was beautiful, but it left a trail of wreckage in its wake. Our relationship rekindled, burning brighter and more intensely than before. It was a whirlwind of passion, creativity, and shared dreams. We explored the city together, visited art galleries, discussed our work with an infectious enthusiasm. We challenged each other, inspired each other, and fell back into a rhythm that felt both familiar and brand new. The arguments, the emotional roller coasters, were still there, but this time we tried to navigate them with more maturity, more understanding. We had both grown, both learned from our past mistakes, or so we believed. But the shadow of the past, the lingering consequences of our choices, never truly disappeared. Samson, though he remained my friend, kept a cautious distance, his skepticism palpable. Harper, while supportive of my happiness, continued to offer gentle warnings, her eyes holding a quiet concern. And the guilt over Genevieve, over Victor, was a constant dull ache in the background, a reminder of the cost of our rekindled love. The city, once a symbol of my controlled life, now pulsed with the same wild, unpredictable energy that Isabel embodied. Our apartment, once a minimalist sanctuary, was now filled with her vibrant art, her colorful chaos, a reflection of the beautiful, tumultuous life we were building together. I had chosen the fire, and it was consuming me, exhilarating me, and terrifying me all at once. Years passed. Isabel and I built a life together, a life that was undeniably vibrant, passionate, and filled with an intensity that few could understand. We learned to navigate our differences, to embrace the chaos, to find a delicate balance between our opposing forces. There were still arguments, still moments of doubt, still the lingering shadows of the past. But there was also an undeniable love, a profound connection that had, against all odds, endured. I never fully regained the predictable order of my old life. My routines were often disrupted, my plans sometimes derailed by Isabel's spontaneous spirit. But in exchange, I gained something far more valuable. A life lived with passion, with intensity, with a profound sense of being truly, deeply alive. I learned that control, while comforting, can also be limiting, and that sometimes the greatest growth comes from embracing the beautiful, terrifying chaos that life throws your way. Running through the park, years after that first encounter, I still caught the faint scent of jasmine on the breeze. But now it no longer brought a jolt of dread, but a quiet smile. I would look up, and often I would see her, not by the fountain, but running beside me, her hand in mine, her laughter echoing through the trees. Isabel, my ex-cryptonite, had indeed set my world on fire. But this time, instead of burning it down, she had helped me build something new, something stronger, something more beautiful from the ashes. The quiet burn between us had become a steady flame, a testament to a love that had defied logic, overcome obstacles, and ultimately transformed us both forever. And that concludes our story. If you were as captivated by Noah's journey through love, loss, and the intoxicating pull of a past that refused to stay buried, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more compelling and realistic stories like this one. Your support means the world and helps us create more content you'll love. Thank you for watching.